in Sacramento. See, Gangrel, we don't like to stick around in one place very long because it's kind of bad for our health. It's a lot easier just to move around a bit, make sure that we don't put down any roots too much. It's in our blood, but it also allows us to survive. We don't get along with folks that much, and we don't try to. That means that we move around. If you stay in one place long enough, yeah, you'll put down roots and build up a small empire, but it'll bite you in the ass later on. It's best to make a lot of friends, a lot of places, all around, as many places you can, so you can go from town to town if you need to. Now, an old tradition of Gangrel is we abandon our child to see if they survive. It's survival of the fittest in the most fucking horrible way we can imagine. We embrace and we drop and we leave them. Sometimes sires stick around, see if their kid actually does it right. Some just drop them and goes. My own sire saw him once, ever. He said, "Keep out of the sun," and that's the entire words I've ever heard out of his mouth. Never seen the fucker since. Never seen it there. Now, what other clans have is sires. We have is kind of a mentor relationship. Every now and then, one of us will find one of these other abandoned childer, and if they've survived long enough, we'll pick them up, brush them off, introduce them back into society, and figure out what to do with them. Now, that's kind of like your sire. That's the actual guy that introduced you back into the fold. That's the guy that you rely on. And that's kind of your father figure, as it were. It's an old tradition, but you know what? It's better than pampering them once they've got their baby steps. Let them grow. Let them survive. Let them prove their worth to the clan. Now, because we all tend to hang out in the woods, don't really meet with other people, we're kind of loners, we don't really have a traditional structure. Now, what we do have is, basically, if you go to a city and there's a bunch of Gangrel there, there's usually kind of one top dog, as it were. Now, you can challenge them, but I would figure out kind of who he is before you do that. See, some other clans base their powers hierarchy on lineage and totems and shit like that. And yeah, we don't really deal with that kind of shit. What we do is we earn names. If you've earned a name and have a story to tell about your survival and what you've done, you've proven yourself to the clan, well, then others will respect you. I got one fucker. His name is Robert. He's great with first impressions. It kind of shows you names can go both ways. I've seen some fuckers, oh my god, names as long as your fucking arm. Guys that you do not want to mess with. Guys not very old either, but they've been around, they've learned their shit, that it doesn't matter your age, it doesn't matter who your fucking sire is, all that matters is what you've done and how you've helped. So, if you go to a place, ask someone's name with a capital N. Figure out where people stand, and from there you should be able to figure out if the guy you're talking to is worth their white and shit. Now, we're all loners and stuff, and everyone knows it, but we do like to get around, talk to each other. Every now and then one of us will put on a call, and if you can hear about it, there's usually a place where we all gather, sit by a fire, and talk and swap stories. It's a way for us to kind of figure out what's going on with the local area, what people's take on stuff are, and it's nothing formal, but come with a present handy. the gifts of Lona are help us survive. 3 basic things. 1, you got your basic survival. You got your ability to withstand damage. This is honestly kind of good out in the wilderness of running through brush, animals claw you, stuff like that. It allows you to survive out there pretty well. Plus, if you ever come in the city, taking less damage is really nice. The other major basic one is the ability called animalism. Now, this one just, the basics are you get to talk to animals and call them to you. It's really nice for out in the woods, trying to gather up information, trying to figure out what the hell's going on, plus the fact that most Gangrel will send messages by bird. What I mean by that is, tell the bird to send a message, go to this place and tell the person there the message. We don't really strap a note to the leg, all we do is we just tell the bird to tell them. So, if you really want to communicate with us, with the rest of the family, you got to make sure you will at least be able to talk to birds. Now, protein. Proteins are a true gift from Alone. It allows us to really fucking survive out in the wilderness. Now, the basic of this is be able to see at night. Now, this is nice because, well, in the middle of the fucking woods, with the trees overhead and there's no moon in sight, you can't see shit unless you have this power. The other basic one is, well, claws. That's what we're known for, being able to go tooth and claw. That's the term. Damage allows us to fucking rip stuff apart. Now, people are always trying to get hold of these powers for, well, survivability aspect, plus the fact of claws. It's really freaking hard to heal from them. So, but, word to the wise, don't fucking teach this shit unless you got permission from someone, or you're willing to go toe to toe with any fucking Gangrel that shows up and goes, what the fuck? Now, usually we'll teach someone if they have proved themselves to several of us. So that way we have a small group of Gangrel saying, no, this guy's fucking worth it. But they gotta usually bend over backwards. Now, no other clan has this power, so they gotta come to us. As far as teaching goes, word of the wise, us and the Venture are the only ones that can fucking withstand damage. Don't do that shit. Don't pass it out for nothing. Don't get some other little power for it. People want it, people hate Venture, so they come to us. Bruja are a funny bunch. See, when we fight, well, we don't try to fight because it can have repercussions. Now, they like to fight for any drop of the hat. Now, sometimes they don't like to fight each other, so the only other clan that is willing just to have some fucking backbone is us. So, every now and then, Bruja will come up and try to start shit. Just let them flame out, and it doesn't really matter. I swear every year, there's always talk about a Gangrel Bruja war stirring up, and that's only because some neonate Bruja get together and go, let's fuck over some Gangrel. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But either, at the end, both sides are angry. Just let it slide. It's best to ignore them if possible. Malkavians, well, I can tell that there's two kinds. There's the kinds that are just fucking crazy, and then there's the kinds that look normal. But don't get me wrong, they're both fucking crazy. The other thing you gotta remember about Malkavians is that if you hang out with them, their insanity kind of spreads. Suddenly you're starting to see shit, suddenly everything's happening around you, and they're like, what? Nothing's happening. They're great in small doses, but don't hang around too long or they're gonna fuck up your own head. Nosferatu are good folks generally. They're ugly as us over time. They know it, we know it. They're not as petty many times as the Tory or the Bruja, so you can usually deal with them pretty good. they say they're information gatherers, but half the time they're just trying to pull pranks, from what I can tell. Okay, from what I can tell, there's two kinds of torture. Those that smile and actually are generally nice, and those that are smiling that will stab you in the back. Now, they'll smile and they're political, but then they'll spread all the fucking gossip they've ever heard of. Be wary until you get to know them and figure out what kind they are. Still might be wrong, so just be warned. I wouldn't really worry about it too much. They travel in different circles than us, so they're the social darlings. I don't get them. Yeah, completely fucked up. Now, there's all kinds of rumors that they're sure Diabolish and crap like that. I'm not really sure about that one. What I do know for a fact is that every single time a Gangrel dies, somehow the Tremere are involved. Now, usually what this means is that since they kind of hold that monopoly on magic, they will sell it out. Now, unfortunately for us, they don't sell it out for like expensive prices to people. They sell it for nearly nothing. You find some Tremere that's stupid, and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, you got some magic that will kill Gangrel? Yeah, here, not a problem. Why? Let me give you a trivial boon for that shit." Now, I'm not saying they're stupid. I'm just saying logically they don't see the problem with just selling it to anyone underneath the sun for pennies. Give them a stick and they're willing to just magic that shit up. It's every single, like I said before, every single time a Gangrel dies, somehow the Tremere are involved. They sold something to them, they held them with their magics in the air while everyone just burned them alive. It's insane. Don't worry about it. No, fuck that. Worry about them. It's best to have a couple that you know, but as a whole, just wary on who they talk to. Adventure. Clan of Kings. Stuck up pompous asses. You know what the funny thing is? I've never seen a Ventrue that is truly in control of everything around him. They're always squabbling. They're always act like they actually own everything, but in actuality, they so don't. You know what the best way to deal with the Ventrue? Ignore them. If you ignore them, you give them no power, and guess what? Nothing bad happens. That said, if they've actually managed to get into a thing of power, they will take usually any slight against them as a slight to like everything they hold dear. Because really, all they want is power, so if you ignore that power, they get pissed off. If they don't hold the position, they aren't worth shit, and you can usually, and they usually know it. They can't beat you up. They say they control the cities, but really, you can just ignore those two because we can usually just fly away from that shit. People like the Ventrue hate Caitiff because, you know, they have no backing, they have no clan, all that stuff. But realistically, sometimes Caitiffs are just Gangrel that haven't been told who they are yet. Why? Because we abandoned them to survive, so no Gangrel has found them yet. Honestly, they're not bad folks, they just don't know who they are. There's ways of finding out who they are, but usually it's not worth it. I would just, if they're nice people, make friends, just treat them like any other. Treat them like a really powerful ghoul. And not the kind that you want to step on, the kind that are just kind of a friend. So, don't worry about them. Now, because we are all in the woods so much, people assume that we know how to talk with lupines and all that. It's not really the case. Most of the time, we just have been out there long enough. We recognize the signs of where lupines are. We know where their marks are, we know where their territory boundaries, and we avoid them. If we see them start making marks like they're gonna come to the city, well, we let people know, and you know what? People like us for that. If you see lupine, run the fuck away. They'll fucking kill you. Same thing. If you see any marks of their territory, also keep out of there. Talk to some other gangrel if you ever want to about how to identify the marks. But yeah, you'll be fine. Gypsies, never met them. Heard they're partying folk, I guess, living in the woods like we do. Oh well. Now, with all the shape changing that we do, we and Alona gave us, we do have one side effect. If we frenzy, we turn more bestial, turn more animalistic. Now, some of our clan like it, some of our clan don't. Side effect of this really is that we keep control of our beasts. When we fight, it's not because we want to. You always have to keep in mind what happens if we lose it. Every punch thrown, every punch taken means that we might lose it. We keep away from fights unless it's worth it. Our gifts allow us to go into fucking battle, but learn how to control them, or you're going to suffer the consequences for the rest of your own life.